brother, here we are. Feels like we have gone down the rabbit hole. We really have. 200 episodes of the ZNT Wrestling Show. First thing I got to say to that, cheers, because this has not been easy. a lot of learning to go through this, but you can't deny that this hasn't been fun. That's for sure.
Once upon a time, during the great era of COVID, I see that my friend Zach here, who has already been doing a lot of movie reviews, and I subscribed out of support, I noticed him throw up a little NXT review. And I looked at that and I go, hey, that sounds fun. I don't expect him to say yes, but I shot him a text and be like, hey, you want to talk about Backlash, which I think was the next pay-per-view? And he said, absolutely. And the rest was history. We were so bored that we decided, let's review all the current WWE pay-per-views. Let's review all the current AEW pay-per-views. And then we decided, fuck it. Let's go through every single pay-per-view of our childhood.
Starting with Royal Rumble 2002, I think, which was episode number 2.
And you know what? There was no looking back, and I have zero regrets.
Me neither, man. Me neither. And you shouldn't live your life with regrets, ever.
No.
You should always live it to the fullest. Fight for the rights of every man. Live it like a real American, I guess. I don't know what I'm segueing into, but I wish that this show was taking place under better circumstances. We will still go through the main topic of this video, which is our top 10 favorite WWE matches, which is almost an impossible list to make. But we do have to acknowledge that Hulk Hogan, Terry Bollea, passed away this past week at the age of 71. I remember getting this news from all people from my mom. Because I was getting ready to go to work. I was pretty much clocked in. I was in the zone. I was ready. And I get a text, and all I see is, sorry about the Hulkster. And I'm like, oh, God, what did he do now? That was my first thought in my head. But I get the news. TMZ was the first on the scene to report that Hulk Hogan had passed away due to cardiac arrest at 71. And I have a lot of very complicated emotions surrounding it, because here's the deal. take what he said like in the last 10 years or so out of the equation for just a second. This is, without a doubt, the most recognizable professional wrestler in history. If you were to grab a normal average Joe off the street, Tomas, I'm sure a lot of your friends don't watch wrestling just like me. Most of them know who Hulk Hogan is, if not all of them. And I was telling a few of my coworkers, I was like, did you hear about Hulk Hogan? He passed away. And they were like, oh my God, really? And, you know, it's crazy news to get, for sure. And I wasn't expecting to get it now. I knew Hulk had some health issues over the past couple months or so. Wasn't expecting to get the news right now. But what were your thoughts when you first heard?
My apologies. I was letting you get your piece out, but I was also finishing up some typing at the same time. In my instance, I had work later on in the morning, and I was just doing my regular routine of waking up and staring at my phone for a few minutes before getting out of bed. And then my brother texted me with the shocked face emoji, and there was a picture on there. And I just thought, what? What could this possibly be? And I see, rest in peace, Hulk Hogan. And I think I have the same reaction every single time I see a big death. And I said, you're joking, right? And he goes, nope, it was just reported. And I immediately jumped online, and I caught the news 10 minutes after it was reported by TMZ, just as you, that Hulk Hogan passed away. And the first thing, I just sat there and I was very conflicted on how to approach this, how to feel about this, and what impact it would make on me. I feel like this is the one wrestling death where we all it was all in the back of our minds. We all asked ourselves, how are we going to feel the day Hulk Hogan died? Hulk Hogan is the most famous professional wrestler of all time.
Yes.
You said it best. People who don't even know what pro wrestling is know who Hulk Hogan is. My mom loves Hulk Hogan. I feel like to the casual person, they know the impact Hulk Hogan made not only on the professional wrestling business, but in the pop culture. In pop culture in general, everybody knew who Hogan was. Hogan was everything in the 80s. He was in cartoons, he was in commercials, he was in movies. He was the pro wrestler, and he transcended the business forever. I don't think me and you would be sitting here right now getting ready to talk about SummerSlam, let alone talk about what we're going to talk about on this podcast, if it wasn't for Hulk Hogan. I told the story many times that the very first wrestler I remember seeing on TV, the very first wrestler I remember seeing on a DVD was The Rock. I can't sit here and not acknowledge that the other person was Hulk Hogan. Hogan was one of the two first wrestlers I had ever seen. And he is just larger than life. You look at him and you see the way he performs, and he knows just how to command the crowd. He knows how to get the crowd excited. He knows how to get the crowd invested in a story. And I don't think there was anybody else like that. And listening to a lot of my other colleagues talk about Hogan's death, there was, our good friend, Good Mike Work, brought up this very good point. Not only did Hulk Hogan, not only was he just such an icon as a babyface in the 80s, I have never seen another wrestler turn the business upside down and be the top face in a company as a heel as well.
Yeah.
Because when Hulk Hogan turned heel in 1995 and formed the NWO, when John Cena turned heel. In 96, thank you. I remember watching John Cena's heel turn with one of my best friends, and he didn't know the story about Hogan's heel turn. So I immediately pulled up Bash of the Beach 96. I explained what was going on, and rewatching that segment, you see what Hogan did. Like, he came down and it looked like he was going to help out Macho Man and Lex Luger and Sting, just to turn around and drop the leg on Macho Man. And the crowd turned on him. Yeah. Immediately, Hogan got on that mic and cut a heel promo. People were throwing trash in the ring. People immediately turned on Hogan and wanted him dead because their childhood hero, their Superman, turned on them, betrayed them, joined the bad guys. And from 96, I want to say to I'll even say 98, Hulk Hogan ruled the wrestling world as a bad guy. And before you know it, it was cool to cheer for the bad guys.
The NWO was a game-changing stable.
Everybody had a New World Order shirt. It didn't matter that they were the bad guys. It was cool to cheer for the bad guys. And I don't think anyone else other than Hulk Hogan could have did that. Hulk Hogan made it cool to cheer for bad guys.
Hulk was really, and you hit the nail right on the head. In the 80s, when Hulkamania ran wild, when he was wearing the red and yellow, coming out to what I still consider one of the greatest wrestling theme songs ever, in Real American by Rick Derringer. How haunting is it, by the way, that Derringer himself also passed away just a couple months ago? It's very, very sad when you really think about that. But the 80s and Greg and Solomonster, everybody who was watching wrestling and just getting into the business in the 80s. Greg, I believe, was also in attendance at WrestleMania 3 for Hulk's probably most famous moment and probably one of the most iconic replayed moments in wrestling history when he slammed Andre the Giant in front of 93,000 fans. Hulk was the living embodiment of what a comic book action figure looking pro wrestler should be. He was the prototype. And if it wasn't for him and Vince McMahon's vision for Hulkamania, albeit he did kind of steal Hulkamania from Vern Gagne because Hulkamania was popularized in the AWA, it's hard to believe where wrestling could be without that duo. And say what you want about both men, but Vince and Hogan were a match made in heaven. Those two guys, if you separate, they are powerful, but together they were unstoppable.
Hogan was immortal for a reason, and I want you to take this into perspective. I started watching wrestling just like you in 2002. when
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan was on his nostalgia run. And you know what? Hulkamania was running wild in me. I caught the fever. I remember when Hogan went back to the red and yellow and he would, strum his weight belt or strum the WWE title like a guitar to Voodoo Child, and how entranced I was by it. When he went back to Real American, I would blast that song in my room and I would do Hogan poses alongside him. It's like that was my little slice of being a part of the phenomenon that was Hulkamania. And it's infectious.
No matter,
Everybody,
Hulk's charisma was unmatched.
yeah,
Like, there is nobody who could deliver a promo, even though if you listen to the subject matter in Hulk's promos, especially as a babyface in the 80s, a lot of them were pretty much nonsense. But the way he delivered the promos, and Mean Gene Okerlund is his interviewer a lot of the time, it was, again, inseparable pair right there. And just like you, I got into pro wrestling. WrestleMania 18 was the first show I ever watched. The Rock versus Hulk Hogan, Icon versus Icon, was the match that I watched, and I was like, okay, this is it for me. I am into this full on, and I will be hooked. And I haven't stopped since then, albeit with a few breaks here and there. I don't watch Raw and SmackDown every week like I used to, obviously, but a lot of the credit for why I'm a pro wrestling fan today has to do with Hulk Hogan.
I never told this story.
Yeah.
I just realized I never told the story. I was very close to actually meeting Hulk Hogan. Let me tell you this story.
Oh, no kidding.
I want to say it was 2005, and my aunt had called me and my brother and said, Hulk Hogan's going to be at the Hard Rock Cafe in Sacramento. Like, do you guys want to go and meet him?
Oh, boy.
And we're like, hell yeah. The only thing was, though, we arrived at the restaurant and the guy at the restaurant said, oh, yeah, Hogan's going to be here, but you have to have purchased your tickets in advance. And since we didn't have tickets, we decided to opt out and not go. But I just remembered that I was very close to meeting him. And I think he would have been the second wrestler I ever met, which is crazy. Could you imagine if the first two wrestlers I met would have been
Hulk
John
Hogan
Cena
and John Cena?
Yeah, that would have been insane.
Yeah.
But there's another side of this. And if there's one thing we try to not be on the ZNT Wrestling Show, that's hypocrites. And instead of trying to put my thoughts about the other side of the situation, I had made a Facebook post about this that summed up all of my feelings. And I'm just going to read that because I think it just puts into words how I feel about.
I will second Tomas on his excerpt here because he said a lot of what I was feeling too.
So when I heard about Hogan's death, the first thing I said was, I'm not going to post anything right away. I did post something, but it was just something along the lines of, I don't know how to feel about this. And if there was one thing I genuinely felt was, to Hogan's family, my heart is out to you. I actually am. I hope his daughter is okay.
Yeah.
Because we saw a lot of his daughter on television throughout the mid 2000s. I know Brooke and Hulk kind of had a fractured relationship the past few years. And I hope she's okay because it's one thing to lose a parent. It's another thing to lose a parent who was the most famous professional wrestler in the world and to have to look every which way and to be reminded of that. So to Brooke Hogan, I hope she's okay.
And I hope, to second that, I hope his son Nick is okay.
Which we did see on Monday Night Raw. That was very surreal to see.
I hope Hulk's widow is okay. I hope his best friend Jimmy Hart is okay. Oh my God, it was so hard to see Jimmy Hart cry. Like
calling 844-711-8800.
So here's what I had to say about the other side of Hulk Hogan, because we have not been shy about sharing our feelings about the Hulkster over the years. And that's okay. I'm going to say that right now. It's okay to criticize because the criticism was warranted. And okay, I'm just going to read my statement and I think it'll make sense by the end of it.
Yeah.
I start off with, quote, okay, now that I've had 24 hours for this to process and simmer and had many conversations with friends, let's talk about Hulk Hogan. Let me start off by saying I'm not here to bash someone in death, nor am I here to celebrate a man who has been shrouded in controversy for most of his life. But I am here to be fair and look at both sides of the coin.
Yep.
Being a pro wrestling fan since the age of 8, I will never not acknowledge appreciate, or celebrate the impact Hulk Hogan had on the wrestling industry. Hogan will go down as the most popular, most iconic, most recognizable, and the biggest star in wrestling history. People who don't even watch wrestling know who Hogan is. In the 80s, Hulkamania put mainstream wrestling on the map and changed the business forever with his unmatched strength, connection with the fans, unbridled charisma, and his unbelievable ability to command a crowd and have them eating out of the palm of his hand.
Which is
Hogan
true.
influenced many generations to eat their vitamins and say their prayers. And if it wasn't for the Hulkster, we wouldn't be enjoying wrestling at the level it is today. We are all Hulkamaniacs at one point, as I vividly remember blasting Real American in my room while doing Hogan poses. However, behind the red and yellow shirt and bandana lied a man I did not respect or like. Hogan should be represented as the Babe Ruth of my favorite form of entertainment and as a godfather, but alas, he was a pathological liar, selfishly used his creative control to hold wrestlers down, ruining countless careers and even wrestling promotions as a whole. Union busted the wrestlers, ruining probably their only chance of forming a union, destroying his own family with his reality TV show, and overall being a terrible person to his peers behind the scenes. And of course, he was an open racist, being caught on tape saying unspeakable and unforgivable statements and openly supported bigotry. Yep. He gave a very ingenuine apology when blacklisted from WWE and showed no remorse for his comments and even shut down opportunities to educate himself and make up for his wrongdoings. Yeah. This is a perfect example of separating the artist from the person. You can celebrate and commemorate Hulk Hogan's accomplishments and contributions to the wrestling business as well as to all our childhoods, but it is ignorant and irresponsible to ignore his sins that impacted his fans, friends, family, and peers in his lifetime. Rest in peace, Hulk Hogan. I just wish you were a better person outside the ring.
Yeah, and you said it best, man. And let's also not forget on the creative control side of things in WCW, the many lies of Hulk Hogan have been well documented. Saul Monster would very often say, if you see Hulk's mouth moving, you knew he was lying. And that's a shame. It really is. And the business to Hulk, a lot of the times it really felt like this man was living the gimmick 24/7. And if he figured out that you as a wrestler were making more than him, I'm just going to use the phrase again, that don't work for me, brother. That was so often, so many stories you would hear. And we're not.
He was very protective of his spot.
Yeah.
Because back then, if it meant less money in Hulk's pocket, he didn't want to do it.
It was very hard for him to come to grips with the fact that sometimes he had to lose. He was not, he I don't want to say he fancied himself to be invincible. But if you really think back to all the memorable times that Hulk has lost in his career, usually it was due to outside shenanigans or controversy. You think back to, what's a good example? Survivor Series 1991, Undertaker tombstoning Hulk Hogan on a steel chair that was brought in by Ric Flair. Andre the Giant ending Hulk Hogan's 1,300-something day reign as WWF champion in 1988 due to a plastic surgery on a referee. So cheating from Ted DiBiase. And Starrcade 97. Who could forget?
I was just about to mention that.
Who could forget Starrcade 97? And anybody who wants to sit there and say that Sting was not buried that night, if it happened to anybody else other than Sting, the franchise of WCW, that would have been the end of them in the main event. No question.
I will
Sting
say
was buried.
I wouldn't say Sting was buried, but he was made to look like a total geek.
And Bret Hart was made to look like an idiot too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And how ironic that I want to say the day after Hogan died, I was watching a video that was basically overviewing the entire New Blood Rising storyline in WCW, and they covered an interview they did with Hulk Hogan leading into that. I did not know that Hogan buried Billy Kidman 6 feet under in that interview. Yep. Oh my God. Like, Kidman was never going to be the man, and that feud with Hogan was either going to make or break him. But my God, Hogan buried him 6 feet under. Like, Kidman was not going to recover from that.
No way.
Hogan straight up said, "Oh yeah, Kidman's a good wrestler, but he doesn't look the part. He doesn't fit the part. He's too small. He doesn't put the work in." Like, oh my God.
Man,
Like, Jesus Christ.
Hulk would hate AEW.
Oh my God.
By that logic.
That don't work for me, brother. So, and after hearing countless other podcasts covering the subject, it's very, very strange, and it's very unfortunate that you go online, and if you are celebrating Hogan's life,
oh God,
you're an asshole for not pointing out his flaws. But if you're just pointing out his flaws and you're just pointing out the shitty things he did, you're an asshole for not celebrating his career. It's like, my thing is, and that's what I said in my statement, you can celebrate his career. And I want people to celebrate his career.
I'm going to.
But you can't just ignore what he did outside the ring. And to that, I think I'll just lay it out in this one statement. I will miss Hulk Hogan. I will not miss Terry Bollea.
Yeah. Terry Bollea is a man who should have left this earth a folk hero, but instead he left a pariah. And that is, unfortunately, a lot of his own doing. And it is even sadder to think that the lasting image that you will ever see of Hulk Hogan on a WWE program, and we talked about this on the podcast not even 6 months ago, the Netflix premiere of Monday Night Raw in Los Angeles, where this man was booed out of the building. And a lot of people are still on here saying, oh, they booed Hulk Hogan because of his politics. No, they didn't.
No,
they didn't. No. Because Undertaker shares a lot of the same politics that Hulk did. Listen to his reaction that same night. Politics had nothing to do with Hulk Hogan's reaction. I mean, some people might have booed, and it might have played a part in that, certainly. Yeah. But think back also to WrestleMania 37, when Hulk was trotted out in his hometown dressed as a pirate.
Next to Titus O'Neil, to be like, hey, look, he's with a black person.
Yep. And he was booed.
And, and to those same comments online, there is like a flip side to it. It's a double-edged sword, because if you're one of those people that's saying, I don't care what Hulk Hogan did or said, he's a legend, that's ignorant and irresponsible. But if you're also one of those people that wants to piss on his grave, that is also disrespectful, irresponsible, and ignorant.
Well, it is. Yeah, because think about this, too. There's people on social media who are celebrating that this man has passed away. There's no place for that, ever. I don't care who you're talking about. Because keeping in mind, a wife has lost a husband, a son has lost a father, a daughter has lost a father. Many friends in this business have lost, like, a lot of people like Eric Bischoff might look at it and be like, I feel for Eric Bischoff. I feel for Ric Flair. I feel for Ric Flair.
I feel for Duggan.
Yeah, I feel for Duggan. I feel for Bruce Pritchard. I feel for Triple H and all these people who idolized Hulk Hogan.
We're not here to police people. We're not telling you how to react, how to process. Everyone's going to process. This is the most controversial, the biggest wrestling death of all time. We're just saying, try to conduct yourself with a little decorum. Just a little, like, show respect. Like, another reason why I feel for Brooke is now she never has an opportunity to patch things up with her father,
which is tragic. It's tragic. Yeah. I feel for Brooke so much. But I'm also going to say this. I'm also not going to police people and force them to go to Hulk's funeral or anything. Because you have people, I'm not going to name names or anything, but they don't appear on the stage for the 10-bell salute. Like, let's say...
I'll say names, the New Day. And I'm not here to bash them. No. They are allowed to process that. Because, I made this analogy back in like 2019 or 2020 when somebody had pointed out that the New Day no-sold Hulk Hogan coming out to the Hall of Fame ceremony. I want you to be in their shoes for a second. Big E, Xavier Woods, and Kofi Kingston. Considering their age and how long they've been in the business, they were probably heavily influenced by Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan was probably their hero. They probably ate their vitamins, said their prayers, wore the red and yellow shirt, they were his hero. Now, I want you to imagine your hero saying that he doesn't like your kind, and how much that probably destroys you inside. They were probably very hurt and betrayed. and they have every right to react the way they did. Hell, Mark Henry personally went up to Hogan and offered him to go to black colleges and law schools so we could learn the culture. Hulk
Yep.
Hogan said no.
Hulk refused, and the very disingenuous apology that he cut on, or that he gave to the, I almost said it like it was a promo, that he gave to the locker room when WWE did decide to welcome him back. His apology was basically, be careful what you say on tape, brother. You never know if the cameras are rolling.
Yeah, very disingenuous.
Yeah.
And then you have wrestlers like Devon Dudley who are openly defending Hulk Hogan. It's everybody is allowed to process this the way they do it. They do. My only request is if you're going to celebrate him, don't act like don't because we have people out there that say, I don't care what Benoit did. He's still the greatest. That is so, oh my God. My blood boils when I read comments like that.
Good
so
Lord.
I don't want to see people with that when it comes to Hogan, but at the same time, I don't want anyone saying, I'm happy that he's dead.
No. Yeah.
Because I really, really, really hope that when your parents pass away, nobody is saying that.
Yeah. Yeah. Put yourself in someone else's shoes. But you're also allowed to process this passing as indifferent or as reflective as you desire. All I'll say is thank you, Hulk Hogan. Thank you for everything you gave to the industry, and thank you for the entertainment. And I'd be remiss if I were to leave this part out. Thank you for the laughs, especially in WCW 1995 with Postamania. I mean, that shit was fucking hilarious, as well as the introduction to the Dungeon of Doom, which Greg pointed out. It's not hot.
Thank you for almost destroying TNA. I mean, TNA survived, but you left us with some very fucking deliriously hilarious moments there.
Mm-hmm.
Superman, right? He's got a cape, makes him real strong. Popeye, right?
Just like
Yabakana spinach.
Okay, you can have access to the impact zone. Just let Parks go.
I've had 8 surgeries, dude.
And we will continue to reminisce on those fond memories.
Thank you for the Popeye.
Thank you for the Mr. America lie detector test as well.
Hulk Hogan, when I was watching him as a kid, he was just grandpa to me.
Yeah,
he was grandpa. He would crack jokes. He was their real American hero. I'm just glad I got a little slice of Hulkamania before he hung it up for good. I mean, probably, but those are our thoughts and feelings about Hulk Hogan. Ironically, we are done covering him in the retrospective.
Yeah.
We could probably cover him if we watch some older shows, which is definitely going to be on the dock at a future time.
Yeah.
I like what Greg is doing. He's taking a break from Hulk Hogan when it comes to his watch along. So maybe not right away. But definitely down the line when we can cover an iconic Hulk Hogan show. Maybe when WrestleMania rolls around, we can watch WrestleMania 6. We could watch WrestleMania 3. We could, go back in time and, relive Hulkamania. And I'll leave it up on this when it comes to Hogan memories. Do you remember WWE Confidential?
Yes.
I would watch that show every Saturday night. And you know what? That show wasn't for me. I just realized that. Just when me and my brother would see anything wrestling related on TV, we wanted to watch it. So we watched WWE Confidential just so we could see the clips. I don't remember what they were talking about, but they showed a clip of Hogan in WCW, and he grabbed 2 wrestlers by the head and he did the meeting of the minds. And I popped for that.
Yeah.
And I was just like, damn, I wish I could watch Hogan wrestle some more. Because, it was just a little bit past my time. Nowadays, WWE Confidential was fucking awesome. I know that's a off-topic tangent, but I went back and watched them. That show was ahead of its time.
Well, now we have
back the curtain.
Well, now we have WWE Unreal on Netflix, which is kind of
fuck that. I'm not looking forward to watching that. I'm gonna watch it because I'm curious, but WWE Confidential, that shit was that.
I mean,
the world wasn't ready for that show.
I'm just thinking WWE Confidential, WWE Unreal. You're not supposed to see the unreal. You're not supposed to see the confidential. You can see the parallels, but
but they weren't showing clips of that show with Vince and Austin being like, "All right, you ready for your heel turn at WrestleMania 17?" Like, nah, fuck that. I feel bad for any kid who has Netflix and they're going to stumble across that show.
That'd be an awesome show.
They're going to see the Jey Uso and Gunta playing fucking Super Smash Brothers in the locker room.
I would love to be a fly on the wall and see what Austin's mindset was on that heel turn. But anyway,
on the first episode of Unreal, we're going to get the behind the scenes of John Cena's heel turn.
Good. Yeah, I want to know how that went down. I really do. And I want to know how this goes down. And one of the big topics of ZNT Wrestling Show episode 200 is Tomas and I are going to give you a top 10 list, which we haven't really done a lot. And this is a pretty impossible list to make in all consideration. Our top 10 favorite WWE matches of all time. And to be frank, let me be perfectly clear. This list could very easily be a top 50. It really could. But let's just say for the sake of time, we can't do a top 50 list right now. And this list will probably change in a couple of years. But as of right now, these are our 10 favorite matches. And we're just sticking strictly to WWE. I don't know what your parameters were when you were picking your favorite matches. I didn't. So I picked matches basically that are insanely rewatchable to me. And were close enough to the start of my fandom that I was like, okay, I know who these players are. I know who such and such is. I know how we got here. So that's why you're not going to see matches like Hogan versus Andre on this list. You're not going to see Savage versus Steamboat on this list, at least for me. You're not going to see Brett versus Owen on this list, as much as I would love to put that match on there, as much as I fucking love it. We're just going to have some fun. And I feel like our lists are both going to be very radically different.
Oh, yeah. I'm going with my top 10 favorite matches from my childhood as well. And my list was basically on which matches left an everlasting impact on me. You can even call these matches my comfort matches.
Yes.
These are matches that I can always go back and watch. These are matches that specific points in my childhood really, really, really stood out for me. And, you know, it's all about the story. It's all about the in-ring work. And it's all about even the build for some of these matches. And I will admit, my 10, 9, and 8 were a little bit scrambled. I had most of this list figured out, and I realized, oh, shoot, I have to figure some out. But you know what? The ones that I picked, yeah, you know what? I'm going to be honest. This list might be a little repetitive when it comes to wrestlers and pay-per-views. But, you know, a top 10 is a top 10. And I couldn't really think of any other matches that may have stood out more. And we are going to do an honorable mentions, and we're going to limit that to 5 because trust us, we have a lot of honorable mentions.
I'm probably at this point, I'm probably going to do honorable mentions as we go through this list, and you'll notice certain themes in my list. But this was really tough. This was really tough.
I'm going to do this wrestling with regret style, and I'm going to save my honorable mentions before my number 1. And I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking on them, but I think when you hear my honorable mentions, you'll understand why they're here. And if you don't mind, I'm going to kick this off with my number 10 favorite match of all time. This is probably going to surprise you, but honestly, it probably won't. My top 10 match, Vince McMahon versus Shawn Michaels in a no-holds-barred match at WrestleMania 21. We had recently just
22.
talked about this.
22!
I'm sorry.
Oh, man. Shit! 22!
Number 10, Psycho Sid loses his fucking mind 2 weeks in a row on Nitro after he realized Goldberg destroyed his car.
I feel like Steve from the Steven Larson show, being like, "Is it Sid?"
Yeah. So yeah, as I botched right at the beginning of this list, we talked about this match pretty recently on the retrospective, and this was the culmination. This felt like the big blow off, but it ended up not being the blow off to the Vince McMahon Shawn Michaels feud that brewed near the end of 2005. It started off with Vince showing off the new Bret Hart DVD that was coming out, and still just hanging on to the screw job. Still resenting Bret for everything that went down. And considering everything that Shawn Michaels has been through in the last 10 years, Shawn Michaels came out and told Vince, maybe it's time to just let it go. Vince did not like that, and he proceeded to make Shawn Michaels' life a living hell. He made sure he didn't win the Royal Rumble. He made sure he didn't win the WWE Championship. He sent Shane McMahon, the Spirit Squad, to make his life an absolute living hell. There was an underrated street fight at Saturday Night's Main Event that Vince screwed Shawn Michaels out of with Shane McMahon. And this match, it's not a Matt wrestling masterpiece. It is a healthy dose of fucking revenge for Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
And this match starts off with Michaels getting beat down by the Spirit Squad, still getting messed with by Vince McMahon. But when Shawn Michaels gets on offense, oh my God. It's like watching a classic horror movie where the good guy finally beats the shit out of the villain. He takes out the Spirit Squad with a megaphone. He bashes Vince's head in with a portrait with the Muscle and Fitness magazine that he was on the cover of. Yes. He low-blowed Shane McMahon and shoved his head up Vince's ass. He handcuffed Shane to the ring post and then beat the hell of him with a kendo stick. He hit Vince with the trash can. He hit a fucking home run with his skull with a steel chair. And after every one of those, he would go for the super kick, but then he would stop himself and be like, I ain't done with you yet, boy. And then he puts a trash can over his head, gets the tallest ladder you could find, up to the heavens, as JR would say. And he delivers a Shawn Michaels elbow drop off of that ladder through the trash can. And then the final exclamation point, he lifts up a bloody Vince, super kicks him, beats him, and it's just one of the most satisfying matches of all time. And on top of that, Shawn Michaels is my favorite wrestler of all time. Even with Vince McMahon, he made such a good story with him. And that's what this match was about. It was about the story.
Damn. Yeah, well, I should have expected it, but I don't think that match comes anywhere close into my rankings. I mean, personally, Vince was never really, like, the best worker, but again, I totally understand where you're coming from. I went for my 10, a totally different route, and I'll give you a hint for this one. Both of us were actually in the building for this match.
Oh boy.
It is, and you'll notice a theme going through with shows and what have you for certain matches. It might not be the match you're expecting, but in my opinion, it's my favorite tag team match of all time. The Usos against Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens from WrestleMania 39. This was my favorite match all weekend. This, again, what you were talking about, the story. The Usos going in with this bloodline narrative of, just Sami Zayn being kicked out. Not kicked out, but he making his choice, helping out his best friend, and the story that builds up to it of Kevin and Sami finally embracing. And these two indie darlings main eventing WrestleMania, winning the tag team championships was as satisfying of an ending as you can imagine. And Sami also pinning Jay to do it with multiple haluva kicks. The drama that was in this match too. Sami kicking out of the 1D, the one and done. Kevin Owens main eventing 2 straight WrestleManias, just wrestling his fucking heart out, man. And it was magic. It really was. And I was into it hook, line, and sinker. The crowd was into it. Even more, like, he was, especially the drunk guy as we were leaving, for sure, was very into Sami Zayn. But it was just everything I wanted a tag team match to be. I was very close to putting Edge and Rey against Angle and Benoit from No Mercy 2002 on this list instead, but I have a lot more comfort with the Usos and Owens and Zayn. That's just me.
It was an excellent match indeed. And to cap off night one of my second WrestleMania, it was such a good match. Yeah, and I'm right there with you. It is such a good match. And this is a good segue.
I was going to say, keeping in mind, that was also the main event of the first WrestleMania that was booked by Triple H. The first WrestleMania that Vince McMahon was not involved in creatively. They had to hit a home run. And I think they absolutely did. And they showed that Triple H is here to stay as a booker.
This is a good segue into my number 9. You're not going to see this one coming. But speaking of Sami Zayn, my number 9 is Sami Zayn versus Shinsuke Nakamura from NXT TakeOver Dallas 2016. This match, wow. This match was one word, magic. This match virtually had no build. Sami Zayn was near the end of his tenure with NXT. I think he already made his debut. No. He was on the cusp of making his main roster debut on Monday Night Raw, and he wanted to leave a lasting impact on NXT. And there was a takeover coming up. We all knew that Shinsuke Nakamura had just been signed from New Japan, and Zayn is in the ring. Zayn shows up on the Tron, Nakamura shows up on the Tron, and all he has to say is, "Take over Dallas." That's all you needed. A lot of people didn't know what going into this match, what it was going to be. And this match right here, this was the birth of Fight Forever, because these guys took each other to the limit. This was my first real exposure to Nakamura, and it was such a beautifully crafted match. Even in the beginning, the storytelling and the psychology of Zayn trying to avoid Nakamura's strikes. Nakamura goes for this awesome combo where he tries to go for an elbow, he tries to go for a punch, Zayn goes on the ground dodging it, Nakamura goes for a stomp, Zayn dodges it, and it's like, this is wrestling storytelling 101. And it had me hook, line, and sinker. And by the end of that match, when the fans were fighting Fight Forever, that was my mindset. I never wanted this match to end.
It was a delight, and it flew by. And Corey Graves yelling out Kinshasa at the very end when Shinsuke was debuting in the WWE. A lot of people were like, oh, he's going to hit the Bomba-Ye. And then Corey Graves yells that out as the new finisher's name. And, of course Nakamura was going to win in his debut, and Sami Zayn was probably going to go to the main roster after this.
It was a beautiful send-off for Zayn. It was an amazing debut for Nakamura. And this is my favorite match in NXT history. And, among there's Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. There's Johnny Gargano and Adam Cole. There's a lot of excellent matches. But this match right here left an everlasting impression on me. And I'd be damned if I didn't include this in one of my favorites of all time.
It was something for sure. It's an honorable mention for me. Didn't quite make it, but there's a lot of matches that I wanted to put on here that I just didn't. That's why this could have very easily been a top 50. But coming in at 9 for me, you're going to either be very surprised that this is on the list or be very surprised that it's lower on the list than I'm putting it. In my opinion, this is a match that I have seen 5 million times, and I've seen, the moves in this match and the players involved in this match work 5 million times. And this never gets old to me. Every single time I go back and revisit it. In my opinion, it's my favorite triple threat match of all time. The Rock, Kurt Angle, and The Undertaker from Vengeance 2002.
I knew that was coming.
Everything about this thing, as archaic as the layout might have been, as basic as the build into it might have been, these three went out there and they put on probably one of the most high-stakes, adrenaline-fueled, fast-paced triple threat matches ever, which is ironic.
And also the fact that they were playing hot potato with the WWE title at this point. That Triple H held it for a month and dropped it to Hogan. Hogan held it for a month and dropped it to Taker. And Taker was only 2 months into his reign? And he dropped it to The Rock? And it was still an excellent match. I remember this. This was in the beginning of me watching wrestling and seeing the title being played hot potato with.
Dropped it to The Rock without getting pinned either. And it never gets old seeing The Rock deliver a choke slam to The Undertaker. Never gets old seeing Kurt Angle hit the Rock bottom. Never gets old seeing The Rock lock on the ankle lock. Never gets old seeing The Undertaker do an Olympic slam. And Tomas and I joke about it all the time. Stolen finishers. It's one of my favorite tropes in wrestling. And this match is filled with them.
This probably has one of my favorite finishes of all time. Because Rock goes for the pin on Angle, and you just see Taker reaching to break up that pin. And when they hit the number 3, Taker just falls in defeat. Fuck, there goes my title.
Mm-hmm. There goes my title.
It's an iconic shot. It's my favorite. Yeah, it's one of my favorite finishes of all time. And it's my favorite use of you were going to break up the pin, and you didn't quite just do it.
Yeah, it was... Again, I can't wait to rewatch this match 5 million more times. Other triple threat matches I considered were the Mania 39 IC title match with Gunther, Sheamus, and Drew. I also considered Brock, Seth, and Cena from Royal Rumble 2015.
Yeah, that was going to be one of my it's not even on my honorable mentions, but I was thinking about it. That was an excellent match.
It's one of the greatest stories in a triple threat match ever, with Brock getting ganged up on and coming back to life as King Kong and just demolishing everybody with a cracked rib. Just, again, such an impressive display. I also did consider the Mania 20 main event in this spot, but I had to be honest with myself. This is the triple threat match I've rewatched more than any other one, and I will probably rewatch it 50 million more times in my life. I love it.
And if we're staying on the topic of you saw this coming, number 7, or wait, no, not 10, number 8, my 8th favorite match of all time. Triple H versus Shawn Michaels in a Hell in a Cell match at Bad Blood 2004.
I knew it.
We have talked about this match. We have disagreed on this match. But to me, this was the blow-off of all blow-offs. Triple H and Shawn Michaels have been at each other's throats for the past 2 years. They have wrestled each other in every iteration of every single match you could think of. TLC matches, one-on-one. They even fought a tribute to the troops. And this wasn't for a title. This wasn't for anything. This was Triple H and Shawn Michaels telling each other, you need to get the hell out of my life. Every single time. Shawn Michaels failed to win the World Heavyweight Championship from Triple H at the Royal Rumble. So that got turned into a triple threat. Michaels was always in Triple H's business. And you could say Michaels is the reason why Triple H lost the title at WrestleMania. He cost him at Backlash. And at that point, Triple H was like, I need you out of my life. And Shawn Michaels was like, okay, fine. Hell in a Cell. Let's settle this once and for all. And I know Zach hates this part of the match, but I love it. This was 45 minutes of absolute violence.
Way too fucking long.
This was 45 minutes of two guys that went from best friends to bitter enemies, and they were going to do everything in their power to make sure that their opponent did not make it out of this cell the same way. And they did it. By God, they did it. They bloodied each other up in this match. They pulled no punches against each other. Shawn Michaels is the best storyteller of all time. Triple H is a ring general. He knows how to command the pace and the psychology of a match. And by the end of it, when Triple H hit that pedigree and pinned Shawn Michaels, the image there speaks for itself. They are both just dead, laying in the ring with Triple H's music playing and the cell raising up. You look at that, and that is the definition of a blow-off.
It really is. It's this has to be the greatest Hell in a Cell match of all time for you. I don't know if it's the only time it appears on your list. And it's actually it's a really, really great segue into my number 8 match of all time, because I also picked a Hell in a Cell match in this spot. It's one of my favorite stipulations that WWE has. It's where feuds go to die. I went with Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels, the original from Bad Blood 97. When it comes to Hell in a Cell, to me, you cannot top the original. There's no way. What these two did in this match, Shawn Michaels getting beat to shit, and Undertaker, like, this is, you want to talk about satisfying doses of revenge? After Shawn was fucking with this guy for God knows how long. And to think that this feud all started because of Shawn accidentally hitting Taker with a chair at SummerSlam, and counting the 3 for Bret Hart and crowning his arch nemesis, the WWF champion. This was the match to decide who would face Bret in Montreal for the title at Survivor Series. And Taker went out there and beat the piss out of this man for God knows how long. They climbed up the cage. Shawn took a tumble off the side. He was thrown into the side like a javelin. It's one of the best selling performances for any one man that I think I've ever seen in my life. And to think that it all wraps up with one of the most iconic moments, I think, in wrestling history, the debut of Kane, starting off what I think may be one of the greatest epic soap opera Odyssey-like feuds in wrestling history between Taker and Kane. I think it's a perfect package, for sure. It's perfect package.
The greatest debut of all time when it comes to Kane, because they had been you've been hearing for weeks and weeks, Paul Bear, take Undertaker, your brother is coming, Kane is coming, and everybody wondering, who the hell is Kane?
Yeah.
Who is this Kane? What is coming for the Undertaker?
I see this sign, and it says Kane Dewey. Kane Dewey. Yeah. I mean, first off, Dewey's too little to be Kane.
Yeah. And, you just see Kane, the fire and the brimstone and the red lighting, and he's being accompanied to the ring by Paul Bearer. And then he rips the door off of Hell in a Cell, clean off the hinges. Name a better debut. Name a better debut.
I can't.
Than the Big Red Machine Kane.
I can. I mean, unless you want to be, ironically enough, other than The Undertaker at Survivor Series 1990, revealed as Ted DiBiase's mystery partner. That was a great debut, but it didn't leave a lasting impact on me because obviously I wasn't alive to see Undertaker debut. Kane, again, I was a very, very young kid, but I would watch this show a lot on VHS, and I would watch that Hell in a Cell, and I would just see Kane, and I would be like, I was mesmerized. I was absolutely mesmerized.
Kane should have just been a gimmick. Because, in 96, that was all WWE was about. Gimmicks. Mm-hmm. Adam Bomb. Draws the dumpster man, the repo man. This was
dentist.
The dentist. Who was also played by, by Glenn Jacobs, by Isaac Yankem, DDS. Who was just a, flavor of the month, bad guy of the month to fight Bret Hart because Jerry Lawler was injured at the time and he couldn't fight Bret himself. But if anybody else was playing Kane, I don't think it would have worked. Just like if Mark Calloway wasn't the Undertaker, would have just been another gimmick.
Yeah, it really would have. It really would have. It was perfect.
I guess we're going to stay on the topic of Hell in a Cell matches because my number 7, Edge versus The Undertaker at SummerSlam 2008 in Hell in a Cell. Now,
man,
I'm going to say this right now. When it comes to PG Hell in a Cell matches, this is the greatest of all time. This is the best Hell in a Cell match without any blood. And again, you want to talk about blow-ups. You want to talk about the ultimate culmination. Talk about getting your revenge. This was the first time I feel like nobody had really had the Undertaker's number like Edge did. Of all people, look at all of the monsters, all of the giants, all of the mythical creatures Undertaker has fought in his career. And this snarky ass dude from Toronto is the guy who's giving Undertaker the most shit, most trouble. Let's go back the past couple of years, the whole year leading up to this match. And let's list off the things that Edge has done to the Undertaker. He cashed in Money in the Bank on him after the steel cage match with Batista. He interfered in Survivor Series inside Hell in a Cell, cost Undertaker the World Heavyweight title there. He got the title stripped off the Undertaker after an episode of SmackDown because he didn't like his submission hold. He has hit this man with the camera. He has hit him with countless spears. He has hit him with countless concertos. He got the Undertaker banned from WWE after their one-night stand TLC match, which is another excellent match. After he shoved the Undertaker off of a ladder and careened him through like 3 tables. And the Undertaker was just over this shit. He was done with Edge. And after Edge had his unfortunate breakup with Vicky Guerrero on screen, I will never forget that episode of SmackDown where Edge is just begging for forgiveness from Vicky after he failed to win the WWE Championship from Triple H. And Vicky looks at Edge and says, "Fine, I forgive you, but I did something that you're not going to like. I reinstated The Undertaker, and you're going to fight him at SummerSlam, Hell in a Cell." And the look on Edge's face is like, holy shit.
And the cackle from Vicky, too.
And who could forget when Edge had Mick Foley on the cutting edge to get into his mind about Hell in a Cell and The Undertaker. And Foley told Edge, if you want to survive Undertaker inside Hell in a Cell, you need to go to a dark place. And Edge said, fine. And he took Mick Foley out, jumped off of a ladder, put a steel chair through Foley's heart, through a table, and for the next 4 years, we didn't see Foley in WWE.
Yeah.
That's because his contract expired and he went to TNA. But think about it. Edge took out Mick Foley. That's the depths Edge was willing to go to. And this match, again, the story was so good in this match. And then on top of all that, the ending sequence, one of my favorite ending sequences of all time. First off, Undertaker hits a spear. Have you ever seen Undertaker hit a spear?
Stolen finishers.
Damn good one on him. So he hits a spear on Edge. Then he clobbers Edge with the camera. Then he hits him with the concerto, and I go, oh my God. Undertaker is doing everything to Edge that Edge did to him. This is fucking awesome. Hits him with the concerto, hits him with the tombstone pile driver, pins him, beats him, and then he sets up a ladder. He grabs Edge by the throat, lifts him up on the ladder, looks at him and says, I'm sending you straight to hell. Throws him off the ladder, and Edge goes through the fucking ring.
I can only envision Mark Calloway looking at Adam Copeland saying, I'm going to send you straight to hell, boy. Go home.
It was...
Go
you
home.
Want to talk about the ultimate revenge.
Yeah.
It's one of the best revenge stories of all time. And again, Edge had the Undertaker's number. I cannot think of another wrestler in his storied career that just gave the Undertaker so much shit.
Yeah.
Like, at every corner,
it's
Edge
amazing,
had a counter
isn't it?
for him.
It's amazing.
And if you want to throw some, not an honorable mention, but I think Edge and Undertaker had one of the most underrated WrestleMania main events of all time.
Yeah, that match was phenomenal. As predictable as every Taker match after WrestleMania 21 might have been for me, I was like, there's no way Taker's losing any of these, including the matches with Shawn Michaels, including both of those matches with Shawn. I knew Shawn was losing both. Like, it's... Taker was Mr. WrestleMania for a little while. As crazy as it is to say that. I know Shawn fancies himself Mr. WrestleMania, but nobody ever has won 21 straight matches at WrestleMania, have they?
No, so absolutely not.
I think, with all due respect, Mr. WrestleMania is The Undertaker.
Undertaker's streak never should have ended. Yeah, that's right. I said it. Who wants to fucking fight about that? Brock
Lesnar never should have pinned him, but...
Nope.
Okay. You mentioned Mick Foley, and I think that's a pretty nice segue into my number 7. For my money, one of the greatest world title matches on pay-per-view in history.
Oh, I know where this is going.
It's Cactus Jack challenging Hunter at the Royal Rumble 2000. I have watched this match so many times, and the brutality of this thing is unmatched for me. I watched a lot of, we've talked about a lot of Mick Foley hardcore matches, especially on this podcast. We talked about the one with Randy Orton. We talked about the one with Edge. But the one constant is that he always takes a young up-and-comer and he pushes them over the top, pushes them over the hump. This match with Hunter at the Royal Rumble 2000 did just that. Just the blood that was spilled, the barbed wire, the story that was told with the barbed wire, and how... It's funny now, because in a street fight, you shouldn't be stopping wrestlers from doing what they do to each other, but it just made the crowd clamor for more. It made them clamor for more craziness out of Cactus Jack. And Triple H with that big, gigantic, splinter in his leg. It was... me and my brother have both had splinters in our legs like that, and it's not fun. It's not fun. No. So if you don't like feeling queasy, it's probably not the match for you. But I love this match, and how these two guys, and the thumbtacks as well. I know Tomas does not like this match because of the thumbtacks, but hey, thumbtacks. It's yummy thumbtacks. But anyway, number 7. It's a phenomenal match, and without this match, Triple H would not be the main eventer that he is today. I'm just going to say that right now.
So my number 6 was actually a very last minute change. The match I originally had on here got moved down to my honorable mentions because I was doing some thinking, and I think this match just impacted me a lot more. Number 6. Batista versus Bryan Danielson versus Randy Orton in a triple threat match for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 30. You want to talk about a WrestleMania that just had me gut punched and my heart torn out and had me going through every single emotion possible. I want you to take this into accountability. Take this into account, I should say. The Undertaker's streak had just been broken, and the wind was taken out of all of our sails. Like, the show should have just stopped there because I had no desire to watch after that. And after the miserable time I had watching WrestleMania 30 on the WWE Network, I will never forget after that match, and we were going into the main event, I just sat there, only person in my living room, and I audibly yelled, Daniel Bryan better fucking win. And how did we get to this point? Well,
oh man.
And just for continuity's sake, I'll refer to him as Daniel Bryan as I'm talking about this build. Daniel Bryan was probably one of the biggest underdogs in WWE at this point. He was the most beloved in an era of WWE where John Cena was still ruling the world, where Randy Orton was still very much on top, where there was not a lot of stars that captured the fans' hearts. When Daniel Bryan started his meteoric rise to stardom, he was just, the funny little tag team guy in Team Hell No. Vince McMahon tried everything in his power to make Daniel Bryan a joke because he didn't like his stature. He didn't like his size. He didn't like that he was an indie darling. He didn't like that he didn't have a gimmick. But it all started at SummerSlam 2013, where John Cena handpicked Daniel Bryan to face for the WWE Championship at the show. And that in itself is an excellent match. That's when the fans really started rallying behind him. That's where, the yes chant was very much in effect. Daniel Bryan did win the WWE Championship on that show, only to have him cashed in on Randy Orton afterward. Talk about one of the biggest gut punches. And just when you thought Bryan was going to get his revenge and win back the WWE title, no, they just jerked him and the title around for the next couple of months. He won it at Night of Champions just to have a dusty finish and have stripped him after the next night. They had a shitty match at Battleground. They had a disappointing Hell in a Cell match. And before you know it, Daniel Bryan was in the mid-card, not really doing anything. WrestleMania came around. He had a banger match with Bray Wyatt. And everybody was saying, he's going to show up in the Royal Rumble. He's going to show up in the Royal Rumble and win. And he wasn't even in the damn match. You know who was in the match? A returning Dave Bautista, who hadn't been in the company for 4 years. He was ready to make his return to WWE. And it's not that we hated Big Dave. It's just that Batista was put in such a shitty spot when Daniel Bryan was white hot, to the point where the fans turned on him. They wanted nothing to do with Batista. They wanted everyone but Batista to win that Royal Rumble once they realized Bryan wasn't going to be in the match. Vince McMahon was trying to shove him versus Randy Orton as the main event of WrestleMania down our throats. And when we got wind that Daniel Bryan was going to fight Sheamus, we fucking rioted. We booed Batista every single chance we got. We turned Alberto Del Rio into a babyface for one night. That's how much we were against the idea. And then you want to add on top CM Punk walking out of the company a month before. WWE had no choice but to pivot. They decided to combine both of their main event storylines into one, having Bryan face Triple H in the opener, where the winner would go on to a triple threat match for the WWE title, and they held Bryan back every single point. That Mania was such a roller coaster of emotions. The Occupy Raw movement, the turning Batista heel, Bryan winning the opener against Triple H just to have his shoulder smashed by a steel chair afterward. Bryan's back was up against the wall. And this was an excellent match by everybody. I think Batista and Randy Orton played their parts very well in this match. There was the Batista bomb into the RKO through the announce table that was supposed to put Bryan out of commission. Bryan fought off of the stretcher, ran back in the ring, continued the match, hit Batista with the Busaiku knee, put him in the yes lock, and made Big Dave tap out. And that is just one of the greatest finishes in WrestleMania history. One of the most satisfying moments in WrestleMania history.
One of the most cathartic title wins I think I've ever seen. I will say that triple threat is an honorable mention as well. As much as I love Daniel Bryan, as much as I love Bryan Danielson, I do honestly believe that his match against Triple H that night was objectively and probably a better wrestled match technically. Because also keeping in mind, Big Dave was also not, he was away from the business for like 4 years. He was just about to become a member of the Guardians of the Galaxy. So I don't think his wrestling acumen was on the same level as, like, say, a Randy Orton or even a Triple H at the time.
Or take this into account. I think Batista wrestled like 3 matches on TV going into Mania.
He
wrestled
wrestled
Alberto at Elimination Chamber.
Yes,
he wrestled
I remember
Dolph Ziggler
that
on an episode of SmackDown, and I think he wrestled Alberto the night after Elimination Chamber too.
Man, that's a shitty feud that nobody remembers. Big Dave and Alberto Del Rio.
Yeah, I feel like it was just a warm-up feud, and they were just trying to get Batista back over with the crowd. But you put Batista in the ring with one of the most shitty ass heels of all time, and they cheer Alberto over Big Dave. That's when you know you fucked up.
Exactly. And Alberto is an abortion, so go figure.
I mean, Alberto was delusional after that match, and he thought he was over with the crowd. It's like, no, motherfucker. They were going to cheer anyone who was in that spot. You would have thrown Ziggler in there. You would have thrown... Yeah, you would have thrown, I don't know, fucking Wade Barrett in there. They would have cheered for him.
It's safe to say Alberto is nowhere to be found on this list, aside from aside from one match where he plays a very, very small part in, but he has nothing to do with why this match is on the list. But but we're not going to talk about that match yet. At my number 6, you might be disappointed in me for this, my friend, because I know you have this match higher than I do, and you want to talk about a situation where so-and-so better fucking win. Nowhere for me was that more true than John Cena versus AJ Styles at SummerSlam 2016. This is around the point where John Cena was going through every single indie darling. He had the feud with Kevin Owens, and he won that feud, even though Kevin Owens beat John Cena clean on his first match, which is, again, nobody can ever take that away from Kevin Owens. He would go through the open challenges. He would do all this stuff. He would go through the feud with Bray Wyatt, of course, and he would win that. He would win the Rusev feud. Everybody and their mother was so worried that AJ was going to suffer the same fate. But in a grand old twist, this glorious match at SummerSlam proved you otherwise. In an otherwise pretty mediocre show, all things considered, that also had Jon Moxley versus Nick Nemeth for the WWE title. You had Finn Balor separating his shoulder on the night that he won the first ever Universal Championship. This is the bright spot of that show, far and away.
Also, on a show where the main event was Randy Orton versus Brock Lesnar. Raise your hand if you remember that match.
In a match where Brock Lesnar beat the fuck out of Randy Orton. No enhancement.
Yeah, and it was
enhancements needed.
And it was supposed to lead into a feud with Lesnar and Shane McMahon of all people, and it never happened.
Thank God it didn't. WWE in 2016. Oh, okay. I mean, I'm gonna let you talk more about this match when we get to it, but I just love how on the edge of my seat I was, because I was a big AJ mark also, just like you. I had followed his career through TNA. I marked out when he debuted in the Royal Rumble earlier that year. And I was just sitting there and I was like, if AJ does not win, I might just give up on the business entirely, because it's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous if he doesn't. And by some miracle, he kicks out of that avalanche attitude adjustment that puts so many people away. He hits Cena with a couple of phenomenal forearms, and that's all she wrote. And AJ became the face that runs the place. And to an extent, he still is.
It's an excellent match that I am just like giddy to talk about, but I'm going to save it for my entry. And with that being said, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, my top favorite 5 matches of all time. And this is where we're going to start getting a little sentimental with this one. Mm-hmm. Number 5, Eddie Guerrero versus Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship at No Way Out 2004.
Yeah.
I have told this story so many times, and it just goes hand in hand to why this match was so amazing for me. I'm a little kid. And back in the days where pay-per-views are $40 a pop, I couldn't get every single one. And I had opted to get the Royal Rumble. And me being a snotty, shitty-ass little kid, I got really upset at my mom when she said she would not buy No Way Out for me, because this was the match I wanted to see. I wanted to see Eddie versus Lesnar. And didn't see the match, whatever. I got WrestleMania, but I remember it was one Easter. And I had stayed up all night sleeping on the couch. waiting for the Easter Bunny to come. I think I was 10 years old. And I remember waking up and my mom came up to me and I asked her, the Easter Bunny never came. And she goes, okay, it's time for us to have that talk. And that's when she told me the Easter Bunny wasn't real. And she said, but I do have something for you. She handed me a present. I opened it and I will never forget unwrapping that and seeing Eddie's shit-eating grin, wanted for lying, cheating, and stealing. It was No Way Out 2004 on VHS. And oh my God, I'm getting a little choked up because my mom looks at me and says, I wanted to get this for you because you couldn't watch it live. And I'm like, oh my God. I didn't even fucking care that I found out the Easter Bunny wasn't real. I waited eagerly for my brother to wake up and we immediately popped that baby in the VCR and we watched it start to finish so many times. And with that being said, Eddie and Lesnar is just such an amazing match. You go back to the Royal Rumble. You go back to the Royal Rumble, and Eddie and Chavo just got out of their very personal feud where Eddie bloodied Chavo. He tied, his own brother's necktie to the rope and bloodied him up as well. And Eddie was just getting out of that feud. They had that little mini Royal Rumble on SmackDown, which is a hidden gem in itself because Paul Heyman was mad that Chris Benoit jump shipped to Monday Night Raw to challenge for the World Heavyweight title. And Eddie battled through, eliminated Kurt Angle at the end, and earned a WWE Championship match in No Way Out. And that's where you get probably the greatest wrestling promo of all time, the Addicted to the Heat promo, where Eddie talks, where Lesnar, 2004 is such a different time, where Brock Lesnar just dressed Eddie down and said, you're nothing but an addict. You're never going to recover from that. And Eddie said, you're right. I am an addict, but I'm addicted to the heat. I'm addicted to the noise the fans give me every time I come out to the ring. And if that promo doesn't get you excited for a match, I don't know what will. And who could forget Chavo being backstage before that match and saying, my Uncle Eddie, he's an addict. And you know what that means? It means he has a monkey on his back and he's never going to get rid of it. And Eddie went out there and he wrestled one of the greatest matches of all time with Lesnar. This shit went like 25 minutes.
30.
And 30 minutes? Oh my God.
30, yeah.
And I will never forget Lesnar, first of all, just squeezing the hell out of Eddie's ribs, working on the ribs the entire time. And when Eddie wouldn't stay down, Lesnar just screaming to the heavens, just die, Eddie. Oh my God, sends shivers down my spine.
Especially when you think in hindsight of what happened 18 months later.
And then you want to add like a little, I don't want to call this cherry on the top, but like, a little side dish. Goldberg's involvement. It was probably one of the best interference spots of all time because Goldberg wasn't the reason why the match ended. Yes. Goldberg had been arrested earlier for attacking Brock Lesnar earlier in the show. Goldberg showed up during the match to spear Brock Lesnar, but then Lesnar kicks out of the spear. And then I will say, if I'm going to have one little nitpick on this masterpiece of a match, Eddie was supposed to deliver a tornado DDT out of the F5 on top of the title. Lesnar's head never connected with the title, which you could say would make it a little better, which means Eddie never really cheated to win the match. He hits that tornado DDT, he hits the frog splash, and he wins the WWE Championship. I will even go as far as saying this may be one of, if not the best main event on a B show.
It's certainly up there. It's one of Brock Lesnar's best matches of his career. It's one of Eddie's best matches of his career. And to crown him in that moment was perfect timing. And it couldn't have happened to a better guy. And we miss Eddie Guerrero every single day. And one of my biggest regrets as a wrestling fan is not attending No Way Out 2004 live in San Francisco. When I feel like I definitely was at a point in my wrestling fandom where I could have.
We both have regrets when it comes to that show.
So, yeah, this, and the ending, and this is coming from a kid who, in hindsight, didn't know what was going to happen to Eddie Guerrero, because I feel like I tear up at this match after the fact, just knowing that Eddie had passed away pretty shortly after this. Not shortly, but you know what I mean. It's very, very surreal to look back on that. And it's a beautiful match for sure. My number 5, kind of in a similar vein. I tear up at this match mainly because of the journey I know a certain someone took to get to this point. And I had been following their journey pretty much from the very beginning. And call it recency bias all you fucking want. I don't fucking care. My number 5 is Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 40 in the Bloodline Rules match.
Excellent match.
You know, again, when you talk about comfort food, I can't tell you how many times I've revisited this Bloodline Rules match since it aired a year and a half ago. I can't tell you how many times I've gone back and watched it. I can't tell you how many times I've heard Roman Reigns say after delivering the crossroads and getting a kick out, hey, you know what? That move sucks. That doesn't beat anybody. And then seeing him lose to the crossroads a little while later.
Yeah.
And you can talk all you want about how overbooked this nonsense is. You can preach that to me until the cows come home. I do not care. This is a love letter to professional wrestling and pro wrestling history. I mean, a lot of people say the only thing missing was Stone Cold Steve Austin. I think The Undertaker is a perfect substitute for him. In my opinion, Undertaker is the greatest of all time, just because of his longevity and his character and his in-ring acumen. Him delivering that chokeslam to The Rock is something that sends shivers up my spine. The Shield's music hitting during the match, John Cena running down, the Usos careening off the side of the stage. I thought they were dead. And I was like, and to top it all off, Cody Rhodes finishing the story, winning the big one. Once upon a time, in 2007, I see Dusty Rhodes' son debut, and I'm thinking, this guy's going to be massive. He's going to be the next big star in this company. And it looked like he was on that trajectory, being under Randy Orton's wing. He went through a couple different gimmicks, and it felt like he was kind of off the trail of what I thought he was going to be, with the dashing gimmick, as fun as that was, especially with Stardust. Oh my God, I was like, what the hell are they doing with him? And then they release him, or he requests his release, and he goes and he reinvents himself as the American Nightmare, comes back to a hero's welcome, and 2 years after his return, he's the guy. He's the quarterback. And he still is the quarterback. And a lot of us are thinking he's going to regain the title in that street fight at SummerSlam. So I hold this match in such a high regard. It is one of my favorite WrestleMania main events. It might not be the best. It's probably not the best. But you know what? I love it to pieces. And
Such a good match. Yeah. You took all... I couldn't have said it better myself, my friend.
All right.
And you want to talk about WrestleMania matches? Well,
I knew this was coming.
WrestleMania match of all time.
Here we go.
My 4th favorite match of all time. Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker at WrestleMania 25. You want to talk about, okay, I get asked this question a lot. I think we all do. If there was one match, let's say you had a friend that was like, you know what? I don't get this wrestling thing. Show me something that's going to get me to enjoy this wrestling thing. This is the match I would pull up. This is my favorite WrestleMania match of all time. And I think what makes this match so special for me is that I had no expectations going into this match. I knew it was going to be good, but if you would have told me it would have been this damn good, I don't think I would have believed you. And the build is strange when you think about it. Shawn Michaels, you know, he's kind of nearing the end of his career. Even as a teenager, I couldn't tell that, but you go back and you see what he was doing, not really much going on. He had the Ric Flair feud, he had the Batista feud, and he seemed like he was kind of dabbling. He was in this feud with JBL, where apparently he was broke, so he had to sell his soul to JBL to pay his bills, and he became JBL's lackey,
so time out.
For lack of a better term.
Time out. I'm going to let you finish, but JBL apparently is The Rock to Shawn Michaels' Cody Rhodes. Shawn Michaels, I want your soul.
Apparently, goddamn. Yeah, he said that. He said that at Armageddon 2008.
I want your soul, Shawn.
And Shawn Michaels had defeated JBL at No Way Out to earn his freedom, and he wanted to move on to bigger and better things. JBL, on the other hand, wanted to fight The Undertaker. And on SmackDown, Vladimir Kozlov wanted to fight The Undertaker. But then, thank God, Shawn Michaels stepped in and said, you want to fight Undertaker? No. You got to go through me first. And they had a little mini tournament to see who would face The Undertaker at Mania. Shawn Michaels defeated JBL on an episode of Raw. Then he went over to SmackDown and beat Vladimir Kozlov, and then Michaels became Taker's opponent. Did they have to do that to get here? No, they didn't, because nobody fucking remembers that. What they do remember, though, is this amazing build where Taker showed up on Raw and he chokeslammed Michaels. When Shawn Michaels showed up on SmackDown doing Undertaker's entrance, but wearing all white. And he cut that amazing promo about light versus dark. And he recited a verse from the Bible saying, God created two entities. One he called dark that ended up being night, and he created a light that he called day. And it was so, oh my God, it was perfection from Shawn Michaels. And when he showed up on SmackDown, super kicked The Undertaker and then mocked his pose. Oh, like all the ingredients were there.
It was beautiful.
His entrance was amazing, where, you know, he ascended from the heavens wearing the white top hat and the white jacket just to come out to his regular music. And this match, oh my God, you want to talk about sentimental favorites. I remember watching this match with my grandfather, and we were into it from start to finish. I mean, from the beginning, when Shawn Michaels was throwing in little Easter eggs from his feuds from the past couple years, he faded a knee injury, like he famously did with Chris Jericho and Batista, to fake out The Undertaker for a second. When Hell's Gate was an inescapable submission move, and Michaels got to the ropes like seconds after doing it. I'll never forget looking at my grandpa in shock and going, nobody gets out of Hell's Gate. And he looked back to me and said, well, Shawn Michaels just did. Oh, I knew I was in for a ride. And then you want to talk about an iconic spot. I mean, the dangerous spot, but it's infamous, probably for the wrong reasons. Undertaker had saved Air Phenom, which is his dive over the top rope, which is so impressive for a man his size. When he went for it and Shawn Michaels pulled the cameraman in his way, who almost missed his cue, thanks him, Snuka, and Taker fucking kills himself, like lands on his fucking neck in that crunch you hear from the camera. It is disgusting going back and watching that spot. Ugh. And Shawn Michaels almost winning by countout. Undertaker kicks out of a super kick, and the Tombstone pile driver was the most protected finisher of all time, especially at WrestleMania. When Taker hit the Tombstone, it was game over. Undertaker hits a Tombstone. 1, 2, Shawn Michaels kicks out. And the look on Undertaker's face says everything. And I mean everything. This match was the definition of storytelling. And you know what? The finish, a little underwhelming because, you know, they were finisher spamming at that point. But Shawn Michaels goes for a moonsault. He gets caught in the Tombstone pile driver. One more Tombstone, and The Undertaker wins the match. I could watch this match 1,000 times in a row, and I'll never get tired of it. It is the greatest match in WrestleMania history.
This is the match that, good Lord, this was an incredible display of athleticism, of drama, of all these things. But I also knew that deep down, Undertaker was going to win. As a kid, I was like, there's no fucking shot, Shawn. Shawn's not going to do this. Even like with the drama that was going into the match, I was into it. Do not get me wrong. I was into this. But I was looking at it and I'm like, Taker's got this. So that's why I have their WrestleMania 26 match a little bit higher than this. I prefer that personally just because of the stakes and because it's a farewell to one of the greatest pro wrestlers of all time in Shawn Michaels. But
you know, it says something when Michaels is my favorite wrestler and I was cheering against him that night. That's how important the streak was to me.
Yeah, there you go. But he very, very easily could have broken it, based on the story of the match. But at number 4 for me is a match that a lot of people probably would not have expected to be on this list 3 years ago. But knowing how important this match is to my fandom, because around this time in pro wrestling history, I was becoming very jaded. And I didn't necessarily, there was a point where I almost wanted to stop and I was like, that's enough. But then a certain someone came along. That person's name was CM Punk. And he is going one-on-one with John Cena at Money in the Bank 2011. That is my number 4. I mean, what more can be said about this? CM Punk is on his way out. He cuts the pipe bomb, which I know he fucking hates. Everybody calls it the pipe bomb. But it very much, for the first time, blurred the lines between kayfabe and reality. And especially as someone who was just going into high school around this time, I was looking at this and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm hooked again. I'm hooked again. And I watched this match, and John Cena, very much like ECW One Night Stand 2006, was walking into enemy territory. He is not the usual jovial Marine, fruity pebble wearing ass that he was in 2010, that I was just like, oh, WWE 2010, that's a different story. But God, yeah, no, don't get me started. And I was getting
next
annoyed.
To 2010 is probably the worst year.
Good Lord. But this one match made this pay-per-view what it is. And not to say that the other matches weren't good. Both Money in the Bank matches were solid. I thought Randy Orton losing the World Heavyweight title because he kicks Christian in the balls was fucking hilarious. But it's this match that I look back fondly on. And I feel like if it wasn't for the existence of this feud, I do think that CM Punk is one of John Cena's top 2 biggest adversaries. Obviously, aside from Edge, this is the greatest John Cena feud ever. And I feel like this match really exemplified that. It is 5-star wrestling as well, in a time where a lot of people, and I was still a big believer in John Cena, I knew he had the skills, but a lot of people were very sour on him, and they were very sick of him at the top. But this was not all CM Punk carrying the load here and showing why he was the best in the world. John Cena was no slouch in this match either. Like, it takes 2 to tango, as they say. And the visual of Punk winning the WWE Championship and leaving through the crowd, blowing a kiss to Vince McMahon with the title in his hands, going up the stairs to end the show, and going out as a civilian, basically. And then the next day, you see the WWE Championship sitting in his fridge. That is
never understood why he did that.
You know, I did, because he was being funny. But yeah, Cena versus Punk, this was my favorite. I know. You're probably going to also say, oh, their match on Raw in 2013, it was probably better than this, better wrestled than this.
No, it's among the best. They're both those two, and another match I'm going to save for my honorable mentions.
Night of
really
Champions
good.
2012.
They'll be ruining my list there. The 2011 match was iconic, and it was another match I went into with no expectations. But it was such a unique build that I was, one of my friends had purchased this pay-per-view for my birthday, and it's a fond memory I have of that. And watching that whole match unfold, I agree with you. It's an iconic match for sure. Now, here we are. We're down to the top 3.
Here we
go.
go.
You want to talk about, we referred to it earlier, this is the match that started it all for me. My 3rd favorite match of all time, The Rock versus Hollywood Hulk Hogan, WrestleMania 18.
Hey, you want to double? You want to double down? I have this at 3 too.
Oh yeah, we'll both give our thoughts about it. Well, what a coincidence! This match was billed as icon versus icon, and that's the only way you can describe this match. Imagine me, 8 years old. My dad comes home from work and says, "Hey, I have this DVD that my friend gave me, WrestleMania 18. You guys want to watch it?" And yeah, of course not. I'm 8 years old. Why would I say no? We put that DVD in, and it's like I was transported to a different world. The hardcore match between Goldust and Maven, Undertaker versus Ric Flair, all of those matches that just like captivated me as a kid.
Kane versus Kurt Angle.
And then we get to a certain match, and we see 2 figures on our screen, 2 larger-than-life characters in The Rock and Hollywood Hogan. I took one look at The Rock, and I go, that guy is fucking cool. I was mesmerized, not knowing the build, not knowing anything about these guys. And I was unglued from that television set, watching that iconic spot where they look at one side of the crowd and then to the other side of the crowd. You knew you were in for something special. And the build for this match, a little weird. Hollywood Hogan had him and the entire NWO had just come back to the WWE the month prior. Vince McMahon wanted to inject a lethal dose of poison into the WWF because this was fresh off the invasion storyline. And he was tired of his own product for some reason. He wanted to kill his creation. So he brought in the NWO. And
Might
this
as well.
whole feud started because Hogan wanted to take a picture with The Rock for his kid. And Hogan said something under his breath. And The Rock said, hell no. You know, he dressed down the entire NWO in a hilarious segment. And then he said, take that camera, hand it up to Hogan, stick it sideways, and shove it up your candy ass. The rest is history. Hollywood Hogan tried to murder The Rock a couple weeks prior.
Yeah.
With the 18-wheeler. We were still in that era of WWE where wrestlers were trying to fucking kill each other.
That was the night the match was made official in Chicago. Right after that promo, Rock hit Hogan with a rock bottom, and then Hall and Nash come down. They start beating down The Rock with pipes, and then Hogan gets in the 18-wheeler a little bit later on, and then, bam, careens into the side of the ambulance while The Rock is inside.
Oh, and you want to talk about iconic promos? To this day, me and my brother quote The Rock's promo going into this. You talk about main eventing WrestleMania after WrestleMania after WrestleMania. Well, how about main eventing one more WrestleMania with The Rock? Like, oh man, shivers down my spine.
Let me also address the elephant in the room. I know a lot of people are going to be like, what about Stone Cold Steve Austin? I mean, this was like perfect. Hogan and Austin were the two biggest stars in history. I understand that. But you got to also consider that Stone Cold was on his last year as a pro wrestler full-time. His neck was literally made out of paper mache by this point.
Oh, he was so jaded at this point, too.
So, of course, The Rock was going to get a better match out of Hulk Hogan than Stone Cold was. All due respect. This was the right opponent for Hulk at the right time. And exactly to your point, the visual of both guys looking out into the crowd as the flashbulbs are going off. This is the match, again, that hooked me on pro wrestling. The Rock was my guy. And you can't deny, rest in peace, Hulk Hogan kicking out of the rock bottom, hulking up, and you just look at the bleachers of fans like sitting up against the hard cam, how much they are marking out, and they're being little kids again, watching Hulk Hogan just fight back and then point at The Rock, you know, and The Rock's reaction to it was everything. It was
like, have you ever seen a match turn someone babyface because of the crowd reaction? Hogan went in as a heel. He was Hollywood Hogan.
Remember,
he came out to the NWO theme song with the black and white boa, with the black and white trunks, with the black bandana. He was not real American Hulk Hogan. He was NWO Hogan.
The fans,
and The Rock got booed.
The fans did not care that The Rock was almost murdered by this man. They were going to cheer for the man who tried to kill him with the 18-wheeler. Yeah. They did not care.
And unfortunately, this was the beginning of Die Rocky Die. The fans were very much over The Rock at this point. But they kind of knew he was on his way out too, so they were kind of turning on him there.
On the flip side, though, without this match and without this crowd reaction, we do not get Hollywood Rock. And everybody loves a bit of Hollywood Rock. I'm still so entertained by watching his heel promos in 2003. Without this match as the genesis of what would go on, we don't get Hollywood Rock. It's insane. It is insane to think about it.
I know the matches aren't fair to compare, but with this match, we got the hilarious rematch. Again, that promo leading into No Way Out 2003 with The Rock going, oh, wait, fine. Let me tell you something, Hogan. You're probably going to be like, oh, what you're going to do? Like, that shit is hilarious. And The Rock backing down from Hogan ripping off his shirt. That shit's hilarious.
Yes. Yeah, big time.
Also, red and yellow Hogan versus Hollywood Rock. Like, come on. Come on. This all came from this match.
A very rare instance where Hulk Hogan lost clean in his career. Because The Rock hits him with the people's elbow, of all things. Like, I think he had hit 3 rock bottoms beforehand. And the people's elbow, that was enough to put the Hulkster down. I mean, Hulk Hogan was on his best behavior in 2002. He did the job for The Rock, did the job for The Undertaker, dropping the title to him, tapped out to Kurt Angle at King of the Ring that year. Passed out to Brock Lesnar, putting him over with a bear hug. And this was just, I think, the defining match that really kickstarted both of us into this crazy-ass journey of 23 years plus. So it's crazy to think about that, man. It really is. But
in the interest of not being repetitive, I'm going to let you give your number 2 now.
oh, okay. So my number 2, in my opinion, is probably the best wrestled match at WrestleMania ever. And you're probably going to be very surprised to know that it's not Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker at either 25 or 26. Matter of fact, neither one of those matches made my list, which is
you know what? That's fine. If you were going to put 26 on there, we were going to have a problem.
Yeah. I do still like 26 more, but anyway, number 2 for me, after thinking about it and mulling over it and rewatching this match again, especially after we touched on it in the retros pretty recently, not too long ago, but it's got to be Shawn Michaels versus Kurt Angle at WrestleMania 21.
Ooh,
this was a million-star match. And these two guys had no chemistry whatsoever going in. They had never touched, did not rehearse any of the damn spots. And these two went in there and they put on one of the greatest WrestleMania matches ever. And the reason why I would pick this match over Michaels versus Taker, either one, you didn't have the streak on the line. So this match really could have gone either way. Either guy could have won. Undertaker had to win those 2 matches with Shawn, so I was like, okay, this is a bit too predictable. Him against Kurt, both guys can stomach a loss. And the drama that went into this thing, Kurt hitting the angle slam, Shawn kicking out of it, and just the spot of the visual of Kurt just yelling at Shawn, why don't you just stay down? Shawn pushing off, Sweet Chin Music is if I'm nitpicking one little thing, that should have been the finish. It should have been the finish. I do think that Shawn probably should have won this match with that little spot. But even then, even continuing, Shawn selling the ankle, Kurt constantly going for the ankle lock. It was just a glorious story. And
who could forget Shawn Michaels' moonsault off of the apron onto the announce table?
As a kid, I was mesmerized. This is my favorite Shawn Michaels match ever. This is one of my favorite Kurt Angle matches ever, for sure. If not my favorite. I mean, my number 1 features neither one of these men. So, this is, it's everything that I want a WWE match to be. That's pure wrestling.
This was an amazing match. And one thing I will say, and you're going to understand why I say this. This is when interpromotional matches mattered.
Yep.
This is when they mattered. When you took the very best of Raw versus the very best of SmackDown at a WrestleMania, this is when you save it for shit like this. And it was amazing. It was awesome to see Shawn Michaels invade SmackDown. It was awesome to see Kurt Angle invade Raw. They were invading each other's turfs. That's how much they hated each other.
It was when dream matches were few and far between.
Because they did a good job with the brand split. They kept these wrestlers away from each other until it was absolutely necessary. Yes. And now it's lost its magic, unfortunately.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
Because WWE is like, oh, we want Cody Rhodes on Raw because he's the biggest star on the company. Okay, then why don't you fucking just have him on Raw? Oh, well, but the WWE Championship's on SmackDown. I was like, well, you know what? You can't have your cake and eat it too.
Nope.
That's why the product is so oversaturated nowadays.
Yeah, it's just a beautiful match, and it's another one that I will probably watch a million more times in my life, and it will never get old. And how these two guys worked together, and their follow-ups even didn't hold a candle to this, in my opinion.
Their Vengeance match was good.
Their Vengeance match was phenomenal. I'm still fucking bitter that this feud did not have a definitive end. Because their Iron Man match ended in a draw.
That's my only nitpick about the feud.
And Kurt walked away because he was a coward. And he didn't want to end the feud properly. So, I love it.
Since Zach stole my thunder, I will take a different approach and perspective with my number 2. My number 2 is AJ Styles versus John Cena at SummerSlam 2016. So Zach did a pretty good job summarizing going through into this feud. I'm going to take a different perspective into it in a couple of ways. Number 1, this was a dream match. This was, oh my God, AJ Styles is in the WWE. What if he fought John Cena? And thankfully, the WWE had the same mindset too. They set up the dream match. for Money in the Bank 2016. And you know what? It was very underwhelming.
What?
Dare I say, it was kind of a letdown.
That match was great.
And the build was fantastic. AJ Styles had freshly turned heel to face Cena. He told Cena, "You can't lace my boots. I'm a better pro wrestler than you." And during the match, they teased some great spots. Styles literally ran around Cena, said, "I'm running circles around you, boy." And it was all right.
AJ,
and then the match.
If I could stop you for a second, just how funny is AJ Styles?
Oh, he is. He is funny.
He's hilarious.
I was also disappointed that the match ended with interference from the Good Brothers. And I was just like, I wanted more. And you know what? Thank God WWE listened, because they held off the feud for a couple of months at Battleground. The Styles and the Good Brothers fought Enzo, Big Cass, and John Cena. I was like, okay, I see where they're going with this. Then something quite magical happened. WWE revived the brand split. I was like, fuck yeah. And then even better, they drafted AJ Styles to SmackDown. I'm like, okay, cool. He'll have, a better chance to hone in and be starred on that show. And then they drafted John Cena to SmackDown. And I go, holy shit. For the first time in like 11 years, John Cena is exclusive to SmackDown. And then they set up the match. I think they both canceled each other out in a 6-pack challenge to become the number one contender for the WWE title. And then there was that promo where John Cena said, "We need to end this." And Styles said, "Fine, SummerSlam." And now, to put you into perspective on how important this match was to me, because I enjoyed it despite this, I watched the entirety of SummerSlam 2016 on my phone, driving. I mean, I wasn't driving, with my mom driving to SoCal because we were going to Disneyland.
Yeah.
And I remember on my tiny little screen watching that match unfold. And I was like, holy shit, this is one of the greatest wrestling matches I've ever seen. All topped off with Mauro Ranallo's excellent commentary.
He doesn't get enough credit.
Commentary that Ranallo provided to this match. Ranallo to this match is the same to JR to The Rock versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. Not saying the match wouldn't have been as good, but it just added that extra oomph. And Ranallo calling every spot to perfection. And you said it earlier in your review of the match. It was the same for me, because I was sitting there going like, man, I really want AJ Styles to win, but I have a feeling John Cena's just going to get his win back. And when Styles hit that phenomenal forearm, got the 3 count, I don't care that it was like 11 o'clock at night. I was on my phone and I was like, that was honestly, the minute Styles got that 3 count, I was like, this is one of my favorite matches of all time. It was quite amazing.
It was
absolutely amazing.
The right outcome. John Cena losing clean to the face that runs the place. And AJ Styles is, a month later, he would win the WWE Championship, cement himself as one of the greatest wrestlers of our era. And nobody...
And in my mind,
yeah,
that match made AJ Styles in WWE.
Yes. Yeah.
The minute he got that pin, I go, fuck yeah, AJ Styles is the fucking man in WWE now.
Even
didn't
though
care like he was heel, didn't care about any of that. I was like, and again, we're talking about John Cena, one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. But I was like, Cena, do the right thing. And you know what? Cena did the right thing. He put AJ Styles over clean as a whistle. And I know I'm going to get heat for this. Yes, I do think this is better than the Royal Rumble match.
Yep, where John Cena tied the record.
Because sometimes a feud is perfectly fine without a title.
Mm-hmm. That's
right. Because
I
went into that Royal Rumble match with only one thing on my mind. AJ Styles is going to fucking lose the belt.
Yeah. As excellent as that match was in a vacuum, definitely. Definitely AJ was losing that. But this one, I mean, I feel like I said my piece. I forgot to mention how great Mauro Ranallo was on commentary there and how much he was selling the importance of this. It's a beautiful match. Definitely one that you need to go out of your way to revisit if you haven't yet. But you want to get into some honorable mentions before we mention our favorite wrestling matches or WWE matches?
Yes, and I'm going to go through these as quickly as possible because I got a little excited, and literally as you were talking about your matches were popping in my head. So in the fairness of time, I will do my best to get through these as fast as possible. My honorable mentions: Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker at WrestleMania 26.
Of course.
This was an excellent match. This was my favorite wrestler's retirement match. All of the feels were felt in this match. I will never forget. And the finish was excellent. Shawn Michaels just climbing, pulling on Undertaker's straps, getting on his knees, and Taker saying, "Stay down." And Shawn Michaels giving Taker the cutthroat and then slapping him in the face. And The Undertaker delivering, probably for the only time, a jumping tombstone pile driver to end Shawn Michaels' career. Me and my buddy Jason, we sat there in distraught afterward. And I will never forget my friend looking at the ground and saying, "That's it. I'm done with wrestling."
Yeah.
He was so just, that's how important Shawn Michaels was to us. Thankfully, he didn't follow through with that, and we still enjoy wrestling together to this day, but that's just how much Shawn Michaels' career meant to me. And that was probably the first WrestleMania in my life where after the credits rolled and I turned off the TV, I was sad because my favorite wrestler retired. And the reason why this match doesn't crack my top 10 and why I prefer the Mania 25 match, it's very hard to put my finger on. I think it's because the Mania 25 match was so good and we already saw everything these two men had to offer, even with the no disqualification stipulation. I don't think there was anything they could have did in this match that would have, made me, I've seen everything they could do. The tombstone on the floor was cool. And I think just because the last match put so much expectations on this match, yeah, like I said, they did everything they could have done. It's like, you can't perfect perfection. And
No.
I was a little scared going into this match. And I'm not saying I was underwhelmed. I just look at it and go, yeah, this match was good, but their Mania 25 match was perfection. The Rock versus John Cena at WrestleMania 28. I know we poke fun of it all the time. Once in a lifetime, but then they did the same exact thing the next year. But before we knew that, this was probably one of the last dream matches we had. Two icons of their era. The Rock had not been in a WWE ring, I mean, not counting Survivor Series, since 2004. And John Cena was the perfect opponent for him. John Cena was always talking shit about Rock leaving WWE. And when The Rock made his glorious return on that episode of Raw in 2011 and instantly called out John Cena, we knew we were in for magic. And going into that match, I thought the build was excellent. I thought they both cut really good promos against each other. And I just sat back and I go, entertain me. And they did. And it was a really good match. And I was very shocked to see that The Rock won. And
yeah.
It's an iconic WrestleMania match, but when it goes hold for hold, the other matches on my top 10 just blow it out of the water. Here's my only not WWE match. Stunning Steve Austin versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
I knew this was coming.
WCW Spring Stampede 1994. When the WWE Network came out, I was watching every single pay-per-view imaginable. I made it my goal to watch every WWE, every WCW, and every ECW pay-per-view. And then going through the earlier years of WCW, there is some very underrated wrestling on there. And getting to watch probably one of the greatest technical wrestlers of all time in Ricky Steamboat versus a pre-pile driver Steve Austin before even WWE, go in there and have a damn good wrestling match. Yeah. And considering the United States Championship was the workhorse title of WCW, it was just, I don't even want to call it. Yeah, I know I am. It's comfort food to me. Just to watch these guys go hold for hold with the very unique stipulation in WCW that if you got thrown over the top rope, that's a disqualification. So to see them keep that confines in the wrestling ring was really cool. And I think it's a hidden gem. And if you can go out of your way to watch it because it's really fun. Eddie Guerrero versus Kurt Angle, WrestleMania 20 for the WWE title. You want to talk
Phenomenal
about
match.
The greatest sequel to one of my most favorite sentimental matches right here? Eddie and Angle, they went out there. They absolutely tore it up. Nobody thought Eddie was going to escape with the title, and he did it in one of the most unique ways possible. Probably one of the best technically and psychologically wrestled matches of all time. We've covered it on this retrospective.
And the finish of that match was so funny, too.
Oh, it was, yeah. Hulk Hogan versus the Ultimate Warrior, WrestleMania 6, unification match for the WWE and Intercontinental titles. I know I said this recently, but this is the only title for title match that I will ever care about. It was the first time it ever happened. two icons in the era with Hogan and Warrior. Nobody saw Hogan losing, and it's one of the biggest upsets of all time. Will I admit, Warrior Splash made no impact when I go back and rewatch it? Yeah, it's because Hogan was protecting the spot. But it was probably, next to Hogan and Andre, one of the biggest WrestleMania main events up to that point.
Definitely.
And to see that shock of Warrior winning and holding both titles, it can't go unacknowledged. Yeah. CM Punk versus John Cena for the WWE title and Night of Champions 2012.
Yeah, I saw this coming.
Hear me out. CM Punk had turned heel. CM Punk was in the middle of his historic 434 WWE title reign. CM Punk was tired of being disrespected. CM Punk had brought up that he had not main evented a pay-per-view since TLC, and he's been WWE champion the entire time. So he challenged John Cena to shut him the fuck up. And John Cena and CM Punk had an excellent match on this show. This match does not get talked about enough. Yes, their Money in the Bank match was great. Yes, their Raw match was great. But this match right here deserves a lot of attention, and it is really good. And yes, CM Punk got a dirty win, but CM Punk still won. This is a good match.
Yeah.
And the last match of my honorable mentions, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Triple H, 3 Stages of Hell, No Way Out 2001. When I was on my first binge of the WWE Network, this is one of the first matches I watched. And this is the definition of grudge match. And this was going into WrestleMania 17. This was going into the iconic Stone Cold versus The Rock for the WWE title. And I don't think my words could do this match justice. Just watching.
No.
It is absolute carnage.
I will put Stone Cold and Hunter on that honorable mentions list for me, just because I fucking adore it. And the drama that went into it. And similar to Hunter and Shawn inside Hell in a Cell at Bad Blood 2004, although I think this match to a greater extent, these two beat the ever-loving piss out of one another until the point where neither man really walked out the winner. Hunter basically beat Austin on a technicality because he fell on Austin and covered him. And then Stone Cold, of course, because he's main eventing WrestleMania the next month, gets the stunner in to send the fans home happy, even though it was not the main event. That goes to The Rock and Kurt Angle on that same show, which is another very fun match. Not an honorable mention because Earl Hebner fucked up the finish and The Rock got too pissed off at him, but it's still a very fun match. I'm going to say, I mean, a lot of your matches are on mine. I mean, like I said, I wasn't alive to experience Savage and Steamboat, wasn't alive to experience Brett and Owen, wasn't alive to experience Shawn and Razor in that latter match. All 3 of those matches, I think, are quintessential WrestleMania matches for anybody, for sure. Check out every single one of them if you haven't already. Brett and Austin in that submission match at WrestleMania 13, that's another one. The quintessential example of a double turn. That image of Stone Cold bleeding buckets in that sharpshooter. That's the best way I can describe it. And Austin never tapping out. And Bret Hart getting so frustrated at this. And he just could not make Austin quit. And that's what turned him to the dark side. And basically turned him into the "this is bullshit" type character, you know, that we all make fun of. But matches that I was a fan for, I'd like to mention Angle versus Benoit at Royal Rumble 2003. The match that put Benoit on that odyssey to the World Championship, winning the Rumble match itself the next year, and then climbing to the top of the mountain at Madison Square Garden. While I'm talking about Royal Rumble matches, can I mention the 2002 Royal Rumble? Because I feel like that is the most rewatched Royal Rumble match of any of them for me. I love that Royal Rumble match to pieces. I do not care that there are only like 6 people in the ring at a time on any given moment. The memorable spots, may even drop kicking Taker over the top rope and eliminating him. Austin and Hunter almost getting chokeslammed by the Hurricane. Kane body slamming the Big Show out of there. Kurt Angle's very first Royal Rumble. The star power was there. Definitely. And I adore that match to pieces. So what other matches did I have on here? Oh, Gargano and Ciampa at New Orleans in the unsanctioned match. You want to talk about emotion and being invested in one story. Ciampa came out with no music. No music except the chants and the heckling and the hatred of the crowd. The fuck you Ciampa chants. The you suck chants. And he was relishing in it all the way through. Gargano making him tap out with the knee brace was glorious as all hell. And I love that match to pieces. That's my favorite NXT match of all time, for sure. I'd also like to mention TLC 2 from WrestleMania 17, because that is the quintessential high spots match for me. Edge spearing Jeff Hardy from 25 feet above is a visual I will never forget. Last but not least, got to talk about Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns from WrestleMania 31. And I know, Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns didn't have that great of matches. And
I disagree. That match was excellent. I rewatched it recently for my WrestleMania to hype me up for WrestleMania. And it's like every time I watch it, it gets better. And we were in attendance for that.
Yes, we were. And I know people are sick of that feud, and good riddance to that feud. It went on way too long. But remembering and just being in the building, dreading Roman Reigns winning the big one, and then Seth Rollins with the heist of the century, cashing in. It was beautiful. It was a great moment to be in person for. Yeah, I mean that's what I can think of.
All right, are you ready?
Let's get into it. You go first.
Favorite number one, my favorite match of all time.
I already know what it is.
Can I get a drum roll, please? Can I get a drum roll, please?
No, I already know what it is.
Go on, give me a drum roll, please. Please, I'm begging you, give me a drum roll. My favorite match of all time is Kevin Nash versus AJ Styles for the TNA Legends title at TNA Victory Road 2009. Now, let me talk about the beauty of this match.
No.
We have the legend, the old gunslinger in AJ Styles in TNA challenging the young up-and-coming star that is Kevin Nash for the Legends title. And AJ Styles was ready to put the young gun over. I think Kevin Nash had been, who could forget Kevin Nash in the X Division doing spiral taps and 450 splashes and jumping off of Ultimate X doing moonsaults. And this match was just excellently worked. You had, and a fun twist, you had Kevin Nash, who was damn near 7 foot tall, working on AJ Styles' leg, because AJ Styles, he's the threat in this match. He could, bounce off the ropes. He could do the spiral tap. He could do 450s. Kevin Nash had to ground the little man, and he did an excellent job. The psychology in this match of Nash working over Styles' leg was absolutely perfect. And, the right guy went over. Kevin Nash jackknife powerbombing AJ Styles to win the Legends title. It's stuff of a legend. This match doesn't get talked about enough.
Clean.
And
it is 2009. Kevin Nash is hitting
I'm just going to quote Brian Alvarez when I say that. You are so full of shit. You are
kidding.
You are so full of shit. All right.
Because my number one is so predictable, I had to throw a little curveball in there. My favorite match of all time is Triple H versus Shawn Michaels in an unsanctioned match at SummerSlam 2002.
Because of course it is.
And again, I'm 8 years old. I'm watching Monday Night Raw. Eric Bischoff is going to introduce the newest member of the New World Order. I'm on the edge of my seat. And he announces Shawn Michaels. And my first thought is, who the heck is Shawn Michaels? And I go, well, that was a disappointment. And even as an adult, I'm looking down going, why the fuck was Shawn Michaels in the NWO? And WWE was desperate. Little did I know, this was Shawn Michaels making his big return to TV after being off television for almost 5 years, after breaking his back in that casket match with The Undertaker at the Royal Rumble 97. This was a big deal. It was just really weird that he was being reintroduced as a member of the NWO. And they were in the middle of the storyline where Triple H was being coursed by both Bischoff and Stephanie McMahon to see what brand he was going to go to. And then I believe it was on Vengeance where Triple H almost made his decision to go to SmackDown with Stephanie, but then Shawn Michaels came out and said, whoa, hold on. I know you had your mind made up, but think about it. Come to Monday Night Raw and we can reform D-Generation X. That's all Triple H needed to hear. He basically, told Stephanie to kick rocks. He signed with Bischoff and Monday Night Raw. The next night on Raw, they reformed DX, and they're in the ring. They're doing their shtick. And Triple H says, "Oh, let's get ready to." He kicks Shawn Michaels in the gut, and he pedigrees him. And we're just like, what the fuck just happened? Triple H just turned on his best friend. And then he tries to gaslight all of us because a couple weeks later on Raw, Shawn Michaels is viciously attacked in the parking lot. He is bloodied up. There's a broken car window, and nobody knows who it is. Triple H, I don't know who it is. And then he reveals, yeah, it was me because I needed that dead weight off of my back.
So
they go into SummerSlam with an unsanctioned stipulation, and they just have just one of the most beautiful, magical matches I've ever seen in my life. It's storytelling. It's the best wrestling psychology you'll ever see. It is brutal. The spots they do to each other in this match, Shawn Michaels introducing the ladder, getting so innovative with that. And of course, I mean, if I'm going to nitpick my favorite match of all time, winning an unsanctioned match with a jackknife pin, a little weird. But I think it was to emphasize what happened after the match because Shawn Michaels celebrates and then Triple H takes that sledgehammer and he bashes Shawn Michaels in his surgically repaired back.
Hunter,
with that sledgehammer.
You also got to keep in mind, story-wise, Shawn pinning Hunter in his first match back, he can't have won any other way other than a jackknife, in my opinion. And let me tell you why. Because Hunter was at his peak, and Shawn had not been in a ring for more than 4 years at this point. And he was just coming off of a grisly back injury in that casket match with Taker. So I am of the belief that, I mean, an inside cradle is probably not ideal. But again, it's unsanctioned. Why is WWE promoting this? It's like...
yeah, we'll always make that joke.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what we are talking about, if you're squeamish, I recommend you don't watch it. Go back to that casket match. The Undertaker does a back body drop out of the ring to Michaels, and Michaels, like the sole of his back, just slams into the side, like the edge of the casket. It is very gruesome to watch, and that did Michaels in. He had to take 5 years off of the business, and Triple H literally putting the knife in the back of Shawn Michaels. That is the sledgehammer. I remember that spot being so brutal to WWE that when they showed the recap on Monday Night Raw, they blacked out the screen right before he did it. Yeah. And Shawn Michaels getting that huge win over Triple H just to be taken off of TV again. It's my first grudge match I've ever seen, and that match just had an everlasting impression on me. And after that match, I went from who the hell is Shawn Michaels to this is my favorite wrestler of all time.
There you go.
That's where it all began for me. And yeah, there you go. That is my top 10 favorite matches of all time. I wish I could have brought up CM Punk versus Big Daddy V at No Mercy 2007 for the ECW title. But you know what? It's a top 10. I can't put all the masterpieces on there.
Yeah. So you ready for my number one pick?
Yes, I am.
It's probably going to surprise you. I'm not going to ask for a drum roll. I'm just going to come right out and say it. My favorite match of all time is a match that I drove a long way to see. It was Seth Rollins versus The Fiend Bray Wyatt inside Hell in a Cell. It was just a masterful presentation. The arena was just littered with red light. You couldn't see jack shit, except for Seth Rollins hitting The Fiend with all these weapons and then getting himself disqualified in a Hell in a Cell match because he used a smaller mallet than Bray Wyatt did. And it's a match that turned our friend Skyler off the WWE.
Because it was peak. Once he saw that match, he was like, you know what? WWE can't do better than this. I can retire as a wrestling fan, as a WWE fan, perfectly. Now I have to go watch AEW and see if they can top any of this shit. I don't think AEW has topped anything since then. And I am so glad. That I went to this pay-per-view after being very tired. Mind you, this was one day after my brother's wedding. So I was exhausted. I didn't get a lot of sleep. My voice was shot. My hearing was gone from the music. It was a very tiring day, but I'm glad that I woke up and I made the trek to the Golden One Center to watch this beautiful masterpiece that was Seth Rollins versus The Fiend. You also have to understand what Seth Rollins did to The Fiend was so brutal. Absolutely brutal. You think about all the Hell in a Cell matches.
So brutal.
Getting thrown off the cell. Cactus Jack getting backdrop through the cell.
So brutal.
Edge getting chokeslammed through the ring.
So,
nothing is brutal. Nothing is more brutal than getting hit in the face with a sledgehammer while you have a bunch of shit on top of you.
So brutal that the Fiend no-sold it and hit the mandible claw on Seth, and the show faded to black with the Fiend laughing in the background as the crowd chanted "Restart the match." It was just a beautiful display of "We want more."
Were you? Did you chant AEW with the crowd? Because I did.
No,
I tried to start a TNA chant.
I chanted "Drop the cage" with my section.
Fun fact: that match was so amazing that I couldn't ruin the live experience for me. That I barely rewatched that match like a couple weeks ago.
Obviously, everybody, don't get salty. I'm fucking joking. Okay, two can play at this game. That match was an atrocity, and it should be buried 6 feet deep.
Clearly, your favorite match was Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 38.
So, yeah, no, not the biggest WrestleMania match of all time. Because my number one, in my opinion, is actually the biggest WrestleMania match of all time. It's another WrestleMania main event, probably one that you didn't think I was going to put on the list, but you did not think I forgot about The Rock versus Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 17, did you?
Oh, wow. Good pick. Good pick.
This is... After thinking about it and mulling over it, even though my favorite wrestler of all time lost the title in this, I do not care. This is the match that exemplified and was a love letter to what many people consider to be the greatest era in wrestling history. And it was the funeral of the greatest era in wrestling history. WCW was dead and gone. WWF had nothing to worry about competition-wise. So they could pretty much throw caution to the wind and do whatever they wanted. But they still decided to keep things interesting with this beautiful display. Again, it's probably not the greatest technical masterpiece in the world, but I feel like story-wise, what Stone Cold Steve Austin was willing to do to win the WWF Championship, that was the story that they were telling. And Stone Cold was still at the peak of his career. This was probably the best year Stone Cold ever had, was 2001.
And on top of that, he didn't forget that he lost to The Rock the year prior. Or no, I'm sorry.
Did he?
Wait, no, he didn't. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm thinking of a different story. I'm thinking of Mania 19. My bad. Continue.
Yeah, no. You're good. So, this was it was called a no disqualification match, like right as the bell was ringing. And JR sitting there like, when was that added? What the hell? And you want to talk about great commentator performances? JR in this match was out of this world. I mean, just the moments in here, the blood that was spilled, Austin locking in the $1 Million Dream, that kind of thing. Not to mention also the greatest video package in wrestling history to Limp Bizkit's My Way. Just everything about the environment, the Houston Astrodome as the setting. Again, stolen finishers. Austin hitting the rock bottom. Rock also hitting the stunner. Rock selling the stunner, the best sell of the stunner ever. But who could also forget Vince McMahon walking down the aisle after getting the crap beaten out of him by his son, and helping his arch nemesis win the title. And the story is basically Austin having to sell his soul to Satan himself to get what he wants, because he is now a desperate bad guy who will resort to anything to get his way. And it was a shocking ending. It was probably one of the most shocking endings in WrestleMania history. Did it work long term? No, absolutely not. Stone Cold probably should never have turned heel. But in the grand scheme of things, in a vacuum, this is probably one of the finest stories ever told. And I will die on that hill.
Who could forget Stone Cold Steve Austin beating The Rock to death with that steel chair? Probably the worst steel chair beating I've ever seen in my life.
I've rewatched this match so many times. And Paul Heyman even said it best on commentary. We are witnessing something that will be talked about for years to come. Yeah. And sure enough, we are. Almost 25 years to the date after the match. Holy crap, 25 years.
And you really said it best. This match was the definition of, it wasn't about the long term, it was about the moment. because you look at how Austin's heel turn panned out. I think it's a little underrated in my opinion. He had his funny moments, but in the grand scheme of things, yeah, it's the heel right now. Cool for the moment, cool for the for the gimmick, I guess you could say. There's another word I was thinking of, but I can't think of it. The novelty. It was cool for the novelty, but in the grand scheme, yeah, it was for the WrestleMania moment.
Yeah, Austin himself had wanted to turn heel because he felt like his babyface character was getting a bit stale. The problem with turning Austin heel long term is that you don't necessarily have the big hero to go after him and topple him. Because Kurt wasn't at that point yet. Taker wasn't the guy. So it was just a weird place of turmoil for the WWF after this, but can't deny it's probably one of the greatest WrestleMania main events of all time. It's my personal favorite. It's signaled the end of a bygone era in wrestling history. And it's a match I will never forget as long as I live. Yeah.
And I saw this recently, and I'm pretty sure you have too. There was a guy at a Limp Bizkit concert, and they played My Way, and he pulled up the Austin Rock promo video, and he held it up, and it was playing along with the video. It's like, yeah, that song is goated, and that promo video is goated.
I did see that, and I did laugh at it quite a bit. It's God damn it, dude.
Are they really WWE's favorite band in the world?
As Tony Chimmel said, that was a baseless allegation on his part.
But I thought Saliva was their favorite band in the world.
And here I was thinking that Kevin Rudolph was their favorite artist.
Remember that time? It's like 2009 and 2010 where his song was used for like 3 pay-per-views.
Here I was thinking Alter Bridge was WWE's favorite band. But
I was thinking that The Weeknd was WWE's favorite artist.
Here I was thinking Travis Scott was WWE's favorite artist. Actually, no, I take it all back. John Cena versus Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 41 is the greatest match of all time. I can't even say it with a straight face. That ending sucked.
I wanted to talk about, CM Punk and Big Daddy V, but I think that isn't an S tier all its own.
I wanted to talk about the Monster Truck Sumo match from Halloween Havoc.
Why? Why?
Why not? I wanted to talk about the Big Show versus Floyd Money Mayweather at WrestleMania 24.
I thought you wanted to talk about that one match. You wanted to talk about the ending of the sumo match because that's when the Yeti made his debut and he humped Hulk Hogan to death.
God, that might be another list for another time. Our 10 least favorite matches in history.
There's a difference between least favorite and hated.
Top 10 most hated matches of all time. We could do other rankings, top 10 WCW matches, favorite
top 10 female matches,
top 10 TNA matches of all time, top 10 AEW matches. There's a lot we could do for sure. But guys, thank you for sticking with us for 200 episodes, and hit that subscribe button if you're new. Hit that thumbs up icon as well. You got SummerSlam on the docket this weekend, the first ever 2-night SummerSlam. Dear God help us. There's a lot of wrestling to go over that weekend. And
if you're going to watch all 3 hours of the pre-show on both nights, what the hell, man? No.
I'm going to take the words out of my good friend Greg Morgan's mouth. I'm approximately going to watch about 4 minutes of all 6 hours of the pre-show. So.
Easy.
Yeah, there's no matches on either pre-show either, so there's no point. There's really no point.
No. Sorry, Sheamus and Rusev. Don't have time for you guys on this 12-hour event.
Sorry, Damian Priest versus Aleister Black. Don't have time for you.
Nope. Nope. Sorry, there's just no room on the card.
But we got time for Jelly Roll.
We do? That's gonna be a good match.
We got time for Logan Paul.
Of course we do.
We got time for, I don't even know where I was going with that.
Yeah, well, obviously, I can't lie to you guys. My favorite match of all time was actually Elias versus King Corbin at WrestleMania 36.
No, I can't lie. My favorite match of all time was actually the guitar ladder match on the TLC 2018 pre-show.
Holy shit. I don't even think we were there for that.
I was.
You were.
Yeah, Lashley was showing his ass to everybody.
Oh, why would you remind me of such a time?
Yeah, and Leo Rush going, Lashley.
Clearly, my favorite match of all time was Braun Strowman versus versus Brock Lesnar at Crown Jewel 2018.
Clearly,
for the Universal title.
Clearly, my favorite match was DX versus Brothers of Destruction from that same show.
Oh, great match. Great match.
Yeah, clearly, my favorite match is Goldberg versus The Fiend.
Oh, why?
Clearly, my favorite match is Goldberg versus The Undertaker.
Top 10 cursed matches of all time.
Yeah, but joking aside, thank you again, everybody, for your support. It means the world to us. Lots more wrestling to lots more shenanigans to get into, for sure. Here's to 200 more, my friend.
Absolutely. And like we always say, the train never stops.
The train never stops. SummerSlam, you got Forbidden Door at the end of the month. We got our retros. No Mercy 2006 is up next. Yeah. Can't wait, my friends. Stay tuned. Commence that back talk. See you guys soon.